Okay, the first one is a sausage bubble up breakfast casserole. And I've got a can of big biscuits, so I cut mine into 6 pieces each biscuit. But if you've got a small can, you can cut them into 4 pieces. And I am using sausage, but you could also use bacon or you could use ham, whatever kind of meat you would like in this. This is very customizable and easy to make it your own. And you could also put in some hash browns, some tater tots. You could put in peppers and onions, just whatever you like in your breakfast casserole. So I'm just going to evenly distribute all the meat over the top and get everything evenly coated in that egg mixture that I'm going to pour over the top. I've got eggs and milk and salt and pepper. I will have all the recipes for all of these casseroles linked down below in the description box. So I'm just going to scramble the eggs really well with the milk and get it all combined. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the cheese on the top. You could use any kind of cheese. I'm using Colby Jack, but you could use Swiss cheese, Gruyere, just whatever kind you'd like. This is really easy to make it your own, whatever your family likes. You can customize it to whatever they like. All right, y'all, I'm just going to add that egg mixture over the top. Make sure that you have it evenly distributed on your casserole dish. And I am going to cover this and put this in the refrigerator till the next day, but you don't have to. You could pop this in a 350-degree oven right now and bake it. But I'm going to just make this ahead of time. And this would be perfect for before church. And you could make it the morning before church and just pop it in the oven before you go to church or after you get home. If you're having a brunch, this would be perfect as well. This turned out so good. It was just perfect right out of the oven. Doug's going to put him some hot sauce on his because this is for him for breakfast. Good.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
All right, the next casserole is a ham and potato au gratin recipe. This turned out amazing. I've got some butter melting, and what I did change about this, I sliced my potatoes and I am cooking them ahead of time. The recipe says it's over an hour, and I want to cut down that time, and that actually cut the time in half, so it only really took about 30 minutes. I didn't cook them all the way, but 90% of the way. So I've got those cooking, and I melted the butter, and I'll cook the onions in the butter. It calls for 1/4 of an onion, but I put 3/4 of an onion in there because if y'all have been here a while, you know I love onions. So I'm just going to cook this until the onions are translucent, about 10 minutes. Okay, the onions are done, so now I'm going to put some flour in there and make like gravy or like a roux. Oh my goodness, y'all, this white sauce was so good. And I'm just going to mix that in there and get that flour taste out of it. So I'm just going to cook this for maybe a minute and get that raw flour taste out of there. Okay, now I'm going to add some milk to the onions and just let that cook and get thickened. I did put a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder in there because you know I got to have my onion powder and garlic powder in everything. And I also added a little bit more milk because it was a little bit thick. Okay, I'm going to let that gravy or that white sauce hang out while I take my pan, and I just buttered it really well so it doesn't stick. Okay, I took my potatoes out and I drained them really well, and now I'm just going to put those at the bottom of the pan. The recipe says to layer everything, but y'all know I don't have time for that. I've got 3 pieces of ham that I cut up, and I'm just going to add that over the top as well. I had picked up a ham at Aldi a couple weeks ago, and I put this in the freezer, and they're not too thick, but I think it was probably maybe about 1.5 cups of ham. All right, I'm just going to pour that white sauce over the top of it, and I'm just going to mix it all together in the pan, and it was still good. I didn't have to layer it. You don't have to do all that stuff because it's still going to come together really well. So this is another casserole that you could customize it. You could put peppers, onions, you could put jalapeños in there, just whatever you like with your potatoes, but this turned out amazing on its own. It calls for cheddar cheese, but I did add in some Parmesan cheese that I had in the fridge because that fresh Parmesan is so good, so I thought that would be good all mixed together and put on the top. And also, I think next time I make this, I might put some panko on the top. I think having a crispy crust would make it even better, but it was still delicious. And I'm just going to evenly put that cheese on the top. And I did add salt and pepper to this recipe. It didn't call for it. And I just popped that in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes uncovered. And now I'm going to start on my corn casserole. I did a few little things extra or different, and this turned out even better than the original. And I've just got some corn here, some cream corn mixed up with some sour cream, and I added a red pepper, or just maybe a fourth of a red pepper and a green pepper, and also some of a can of green chilies that were hot. This was amazing, and it didn't even make it hot, but it made it so much better than the original. And that's what I used, those diced green chilies, and they were hot. Or they said they were hot, but it was mild in this recipe. Right, I have some melted butter. I don't know why I used so many bowls. Then I ended up using a big bowl, but I guess I like to wash dishes. But I've just mixed that corn up in that bowl, and now I'm going to mix the other can of whole corn in with the butter. And I'm also going to add in a couple eggs. We have 8 new hens, so I've got to use up a lot of eggs here, as you can see. Okay, I'm just going to scramble that up together, and if you were normal, unlike me, you would just be mixing this all up in one bowl. The recipe called for half a cup of sugar, but I knew the Jiffy was already really sweet, so I just put in 2 tablespoons, and I think it was perfect. See, I did have to get a big bowl. And I added the Jiffy corn muffin mix, and you'll just mix that together really well. And then we'll put it in our casserole dish. Okay, I just put it in my round casserole dish. It looks really pretty with the green and the red from the peppers and the green chilies, and it smells really good too. So I'm just going to put this in the oven for about 45 minutes or until it sets up in the middle. Okay, my ham and potato au gratin potatoes are out. I wish y'all could smell this. This just smells like heaven. So I'm just going to let it sit and set up and let everything come together, and then we'll check on the corn casserole. Y'all, both of these recipes came out so good, and with those chilies and peppers in there, it was even better than the original recipe. You've got to make both of these dishes. They are so delicious. And that ham, that smoky ham with those potatoes and cheese, oh my goodness, y'all, both of these are delicious. And they had that white sauce in it. It was perfect. So I think y'all need to make these, especially for Easter. I think it'll impress your family and friends. And we had 2 servings of each. They were that good. Alright, y'all, I've got a honey ham, a spiral honey ham, and I'm going to cook it in the Instant Pot. I will have to cut it down a little bit because it's too big for the Instant Pot. But since I don't have an oven, it's going to work out perfect. It's already cooked, so I'm really just heating it up, but I'm going to put a glaze on it. I've got maybe a fourth of a cup of pineapple juice, and I've got half a cup of brown sugar. I've also got some maraschino cherries, and I'm going to put just a little bit of that juice in there. I've got some Dijon mustard. I'm just going to eyeball about 2 tablespoons. I've also got this mustard, stone brown mustard, that I need to use up, so I'm just going to plop a little bit of that grainy mustard in here. And all over my counter. I'm going to add half a cup of honey. But I'm just going to eyeball it because I do not want to have to clean that measuring cup. So I'm just going to add a pretty good bit of honey. The recipe calls for nutmeg and cinnamon, but I do not like that in my ham. So I'm just going to leave it like this. And I'm just going to stir it together. And then we'll taste it and see if we like it. Okay, I had to cut my ham down a little bit, but it fit. Because I don't really need that whole big ham because we're not going to have a whole lot this time for Easter, so it'll work out perfect. I can freeze the rest. So what I'm going to do is I've got it on a trivet. I'm going to add 1 1/4 cup of water. Then I'm going to take my glaze, and I want to try and get it all between those nooks and crannies. Try and open up. You could probably use a brush if you'd like, but we are trying to get ready for Easter here, and I don't have that kind of time. All right. I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna manual cook it for 4 minutes and then let it release for 10 minutes. Y'all, I can't believe how good this turned out. I turned on the saute feature and let those juices cook down, and it was just perfect. I don't think I'll make another ham in the oven again. This came out delicious. All right, this is all you're gonna need for this pie. It's so easy. You just need some lemons, some butter, cookies, lemon cookies. I'm using the Walmart kind because they're cheaper and you get extra because it's a family size. So you get this much extra. I've got 2 blocks of cream cheese that I'm softening up. It calls for it says 10 ounces, but this is a 14-ounce can, so I'm going to measure out 1 1/4 cup of that sweetened condensed milk. And here are the cookies. You can put them in the food processor or a little mini chopper. I'm just going to put them in a bag and crush them myself because I cannot find my chopper. So these are 39. So I looked at the package in the recipe. I'll have the recipe link below. And I looked up the ounce size and it said 39 cookies. So I've got 39 cookies here. And this is going to be the crust. So it's going to be extra delicious. So I'm going to go ahead and crush these crackers or these cookies up. All right, I have my melted butter in my pie plate. And I've got my crumbs here in the bag. I'm going to pour the butter into the bag. Hopefully I don't spill it. I'm not going to worry about all of it. I can pour the rest back in there and mix it up. But I'm following the directions per the recipe, so I'm going to close that up. And I'm going to mix that up. You can mix it up in the pie pan if you want, but I am going to do it this way and get most of it mixed up together. I'm going to go ahead and put those crumbs in my buttered pie pan. Since I melted the butter in there, I really don't have to worry about buttering it. All right, I'm going to take my hand and I'm just going to press down and kind of evenly get the crust put in the pan. All right, there's my pie crust. So now we're going to go ahead and start on the filling. I did take my measuring cup and kind of smooth it out, so it looks pretty good. So now we're going to start on the filling. All right, I've got my 2 blocks of cream cheese filling, and I'm just going to beat those really well. Make sure you scrape down the sides, but you want this really smooth. You don't want any lumps in it. All right, y'all, I'm very confused because I have a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, and I Googled it, and it said 10 ounces is 1 1/2 cups. But this is a whole 14-ounce jar, and it just barely comes to a cup. So I am winging this recipe, and I'm going to put just this whole can of 14 ounces of sweetened condensed milk in there. Can of sweetened condensed milk, and I am adding in 1/2 cup of lemon juice. And then we'll start the mixer back and mix that together. You want to make sure you mix that until it's smooth. You don't want any lumps. All right, y'all, she's ready. She smells so good. It just smells like springtime. Heavenly lemon. All right, I'm going to scrape this down, and then we're going to pour it in the pie shell. All right, I'm just going to take my spatula and put the pie in the pie crust. All right, I'm going to get that all out, and then we'll even it out. All right, we're going to put it in the pie pan and kind of make it pretty. I'm going to take my offset spatula, just kind of smooth that out. I want to make sure I don't get any crumbs in there. But I mean, it's basically done. You don't have to cook it. You just have to put it in the fridge for a couple hours and it's ready. I mean, who doesn't love an easy pie like this? It tastes just like a cheesecake, but it's got Oreos in it. And the next pie I'm going to make is, I think, an Oreo one, a regular Oreo one. And I think I would do this again, and if this is good, which I know it's good, but I think I'm going to do a lemon blueberry one. I think that would be good too. I got plenty of blueberries. I went to Costco the other day and got some. All right, that looks really nice. All right, we're going to put this in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours and then we'll try it. All right, it's ready to cut. I cannot wait. I know it's going to be so good. So let's go ahead and get my knife out and let's see how it is.